What is up, fishing world? Trevor Wagner coming back at you again. In today's episode, we're going to talk buzzbait fishing. That's right. In today's episode, we're going to talk about buzzbait fishing. And I know for some of us, this time of year, we're really not thinking about topwater. This is pre-spawn time. Some places we're still in a full winter pattern. Those fish aren't even thinking about moving up. Some of the country down Florida, other places, they're already in spawn. But for me, where I'm at, we're definitely in that pre-spawn area. And for buzzbaits, I've never given this a second thought to try to use a buzzbait this time of year. I usually wait a little bit longer. But I came across an article in the latest March issue of Bassmaster the magazine. And in that article, Bernie Schultz was talking about how he uses a buzzbait in this pre-spawn time. So it got me thinking, last year was a horrible year for me with buzzbaits. I really didn't get a lot of fish that I actually was able to hook up with and bring in the boat using a buzzbait. It was one of my underperforming baits. If you watch one of my very, very first videos I ever did, I talked about my underperforming baits, and the buzzbait was one of them. So this year I really want to give it a shot again because I like to catch bass on a buzzbait, and I usually catch larger than average bass on a buzzbait. So during this time, I actually am going to try to use a buzzbait in this pre-spawn. Mr. Schultz really talked about some of the really good things, how to use that buzzbait in this pre-spawn area. You're not casting it out there and burning it. You're casting it out there and you're slow rolling it back. So you need to make sure you have a buzzbait that doesn't just sink real fast. You need to get one that has a good plane on it. So he talked about throwing it out there in those areas as those bass are coming up, positioning to get to those spawning beds as they're sitting there. You know, a lot of them are going to start to feed up during this time, and a buzzbait's a good way to get those bites and get them to trigger. So I'm like, why not give it a shot? So why not talk about buzzbaits in the pre-spawn? So that's what we're going to do today. Let's talk about some buzzbaits. So first off, I want to show you my rod and reel setup that I use for buzzbaits, and then I'll hold up some buzzbaits that I'm going to try this year and that I've tried in the past. And then we'll talk about, you know, where I like to throw a buzzbait. So let's get the rod and reel. All right, so my rod and reel setup for buzzbaits is I usually try to stick with something that's like a medium heavy, fast power rod. I typically go with all braid when I'm throwing it, just because it braid floats, it keeps it up there. I used to run a mono leader on my buzzbait to the braid, but I've kind of went away from that. So I'm like, what's the use? I mean, they don't care that the braid's across the top, and I haven't, since I've made this transition, I have not lost many fish at all going to straight braid. So let's just jump right into it. So this right here, this is I know I'm going to get some haters out there, but this is the Guggen Squad go-to rod. So this is the medium heavy fast. It's 7 foot. I have this paired with the Lose Tournament MP reel. This is actually a pretty fast one. This is the 8:3:1 gear ratio that I have on here. So again, it allows me to like really get that buzzbait going, and I don't have to really spin really fast to get that buzzbait to start coming back. So that is my rod and reel that I use. It has served me really well. As you can see, the buzzbait I have on there right now is more of like that, got the toad style buzzbait on there, and there's no skirt. I run skirts and I run non-skirts. A lot of times I let the fish depict what they want at that time. So, but that's my rod and reel. Again, all the Guggen haters out there will hate on me for the rod. It's been a good rod. I got it for like half price. So I was like, you know, for half price, I'm using it for a topwater bait. Might as well give it a shot. So, and it's worked really well. Kind of doubles as my jig rod from time to time as well. I really do need to get a good jig rod. So if you guys have any recommendations of a really good high sensitive jig rod that's not too expensive, put it down in the comments. Really could use a good jig rod. All right, so that's the rod and reel that I use. Now, again, you saw the buzz toad on there. I do have some other buzz baits. I got this guy right here. This is it's in a black and blue style. Again, this one has a skirt. I really like this one because it actually clacks really, really well on that top as it's coming across. So really, really loud as it's coming through the water. And then if I want really loud, really squeaky, Booyah has this big fella right here. I actually have two of these guys in different color patterns. It's kind of got that flat head. So as I was talking about, you need to go a little slower on your buzzbait. This one actually kind of sits a little bit better in the water column without sinking so fast. So this is a good one for this pre-spawn time. I actually have a black toad style as well, as you seen the green pumpkin I had earlier. Let's see. Oh, I have one of these guys too. Half of these I couldn't tell you what brand they are. I just got them over time. This guy right here is really cool. If you look at the blades, it's got the holes in it. So as this coming through, it kind of leaves a bigger bubble trail than some of your other buzz baits has come through. And again, it's kind of got that flatter style. Now this one, as you can see, doesn't squeal and squeak as much as some of the other ones. This one relies more on those holes to cause that disturbance in the water than a squeaky pattern or a clacker that some buzz baits have. Speaking of clackers, this one's interesting. It doesn't really have a clacker. It's kind of got this spring that's up here that causes a lot of the commotion as it's coming through. Again, it works. Like I use that too. Strike King, this is a Strike King. This one I know what it is. This is a Strike King Tri-Wing, and I really like this one. I've caught a lot of bass on this guy right here, and white bass. They come up and hit this guy too. Mainly because it's a little bit of a smaller profile buzz bait. But this Tri-Wing works really, really well. Kind of holds in the water column, and I don't have to reel it back as fast. And I have one of these with a skirt, and I have one without a skirt, so they work really well. And then last but not least, last year for the first time, because of other people I've watched, I am going to try out the Double Buzz. That's right. This thing is a monstrosity. Look at how big this thing is. So this is a Double Buzz. So I'm going to give this a shot this year for a buzz bait. Never threw a Double Buzz before. That's just a few. As you see, I have another bag full of more buzz baits, and I kind of store my buzz baits in this Plano 3600 bag. When I go out on the water, I can throw them all in here, take all my buzz baits with me when I get out on the water. Just makes it a lot easier to have them all with me, so the bass can decide which one they like better. So I can keep switching them out until I find that one sound frequency, that one disturbance in the water that just makes them angry, and they just got to come up and kill whatever it is that's making that commotion up on the surface. And that's really what buzz baits do. They cause such a racket and such a commotion that the bass are just coming up like, I have to kill you. You are pissing me off. So they just go up and just destroy it. That's the way I think a bass feels. It's probably not the truth behind it, but the way they hit that thing most of the time, they're mad and they don't like it and they want it gone. So they just come up and try to destroy it. So, but that's pretty much my buzz baits. That's my rod and reel for a buzz bait. I throw a buzz bait a lot into cover on stuff that, like, areas that, you can't really throw those treble bait top waters into. I've thrown buzz baits over open water as well. When you're using forward facing sonar, you can go out there and see those bass. You could throw that out there, pass them, start bringing it, and see how they're reacting to the top water. Kind of gives you a clue for the day, if they're feeding up high or if they need something to go down below it. So that's where that has really helped me, watching that forward facing sonar with a top water, a buzz bait. I could bring stuff over and I can see how the bass that are laid up underneath, how they're reacting. Are they coming up to investigate, or are they just staying down there like, that doesn't even bother me, I don't care? And then you got to go down to them instead of drawing them up. So that's my buzz baits. That's kind of typically where I throw them. So guys, let me know down below in the comments, have you thrown a buzz bait in the pre-spawn before, or even in the wintertime? If so, let me know down below, because here this coming up weeks, this is gonna be the first time that I've actually tried a buzz bait this time of year. So let me know down below if you've tried the buzz bait in the pre-spawn area. Also, what is your favorite buzzbait? What is your favorite time of year to throw the buzzbait? So put those down below as well. Remember what I said earlier. If you have a good jig rod recommendation that's relatively cheap, let me know down below. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And if you can, get out and fish and catch some bass. All right, guys, thanks, and we'll talk to you later.